Boom, and we're live. How you doing tonight, my friend?
Hey Tim, how you doing?
I'm really good, man. How's well, before we go any further, how's things generally in your life? I mean, we've seen you playing tennis, and I think one of the things about playing tennis is, and I maybe should start off with this, and I think one of the fascinations about you playing tennis is, and we've spoken about this before. What I love about your whole approach to it is that, and you said we spoke about this many times, is the whole idea when you say that tennis now is very much a game of power and big guys just smacking the ball about. And you mentioned Nadal, but I love how your approach. You talk about the form of how you like to play tennis. So, and I think it's how you approach many things in your life. I think it's fascinating that you, even with your love and your hobbies, you still have this same mindset that you carry through about. No, I love the form of what I'm doing, and I'll learn the discipline of what I'm doing. I think that relates to where you are with Safe Exchange, how you really approach things. So sort of speak upon that really to start with. I mean, where talk about. I mean, I've given a kind of a rough synopsis of the form versus power, but for someone who plays the tennis, what's the biggest difference between someone how you play to compare to someone like Nadal?
Yeah, so like to become really good in tennis, what requires is consistency. So in order to be consistent, you must work on your form. You have to hit the same shot 1,000 times to really master that shot. So like same with like producing some kind of software, right? You gotta write that code 1,000 times, and then you can't argue with yourself that you couldn't write that code. So for me, like when I'm playing tennis, like I'm hitting the same shot. I'm not playing for points. I'm playing to hit that ball to the best form that I can possibly devise. And at every instance that I'm going back to play more, like I'm constantly maintaining that consistency. So like that carries through life. So it's something that I I feel like it defines me to be consistent in what I'm doing. You see what I mean?
Hmm. So I
Yeah.
mean, it's the same. I think your approach is exactly why. That flexibility is something that I think many creative people have. It's learning that flexibility in the form, and I think one of the things that I generally think why I'm greatly inspired by what you do, and the whole this general people, what the principles about what you're working behind is you've got the flexibility, and it's not the fixed mindset of saying okay. And at times this is all part of the creative process as well of understanding okay, what do I need to make this project go through? What do I need to make, but still, as you said, sticking with your discipline of like, no, the form is important. I've still got to go to the core principles of what we're doing on. And I
Yeah.
think you can relate that to what you've done with,
There,
safe.
there's like a good saying in tennis is like to to defeat your opponent, the winner is the one who hit the ball over the net one time more than the other player. You see, like, but to get that one time more, you need to be prepared to hit the ball over the net one time more every time. You see? So the objective is quite simple, right? Just one time more. You don't need to
Hmm.
hit the ball over 1,000 times without them returning it at a time. You just need it one time more for that point. You see? Like once the ball is dead on their side, you won. You won the point. You move on. Like with software, there's a destination. When you have that destination, you're literally coding until you got the ball over the net. And then once it's over the net, you pretty much won. It achieved the functionality that you're desiring to deliver. You see what I mean?
Hmm.
So like it in software, it's about what you want to do that it then you reach that goal. So first you got to figure out, okay, what is that point? What is that hitting the ball over the net? Define that. And then develop your form till you hit that ball over the net.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's, and I think there's another sort of synergy between, maybe coding and the decentralized world we're entering. And I think it relates to tennis and what we're speaking upon is that you'll find products, and you'll find, like, maybe any industry and anything that's in industries, you'll have you kind of like people like yourself that are playing this form of tennis, and then along comes some 6-foot giant from the middle, from Russia or something, who just whacks everything out. And initially it's like, oh, they're taking great strides forward, but what you realize is that form, it's like the same with all disciplines, like art, whether it's sport. They always say that form maybe is temporary, but class is permanent, and it's the learning of the discipline that keeps you going on. So someone might come along and be like, oh wow, and shine. And it's the same in the software world. You get a product comes along and it's like, oh, and then it just disappears. But it's the ones that stick with it, the discipline of carrying through. And that's as I think there's something I've always found intriguing about how you've always approached things. It's always been step by step by step by step, but you've always kept this form, this understanding of what it is. I mean, from the very first conversation we had in Life is People, it was all about, okay, decentralization, the blockchain. What can these tools do? And the things we learn, but you've kept to that form, and that's what's important. It's like you said, it's about getting the ball over the line. It's not overly about how you do it. It's just about, can we achieve what I'm going to do, but keeping to the principles, as you said, about the blockchain, decentralization, everything. It's all about understanding the game of tennis, and not just going, okay, what can I rush out and bang, look at and then in a year's time I'm like, oh, what happened to the safe exchange? What happened to this? And
you look at Nadal, he's not the biggest guy, and it's the form and the snap that gives you that power. Really, it's like that's pretty much it. Like, you'd be surprised that like even someone like not fully built can still snap the ball back at such incredible speed. It's about the top spin and the timing, the preparation. Just have to be on point. Most of tennis is just being prepared to hit the ball back. So like, yeah.
And equally, Daniel, I think the thing that's is important as well, and this is one of the great lessons why it is good to partake in, even just like you say, a sport where there is, not only it doesn't surprise me at all because it's a competitive element, but I think the great lesson to learn, and I think it relates to life and coding and everything else, is at times you're not going to win every point. At times you've got to go, okay, how did I lose that point? What can I learn from that? Do I abandon my principles, or do I stick my principles and realize I got done by a better? And that's like life. Yeah. This is what I'm trying to say. It's all part of this philosophy of how you approach things. So I'm very fascinated, always have been since the day we first cross. And I thought, I love your approach and your mindset, because it's because you see so many people, they lose a point at tennis, and then that's it. Down goes the racket, storming off the pitch.
If you're bogged down by the last point, it's consider the next 10 lost. You know what I mean? Like, if you're bogged down by that last point, consider the next 10 lost. You're not going to play well. Like, and that loses the pleasure. So what you do is you just learn from it and do better on the next swing. You see? Like, that's all that matters. And like, personally, I'm grateful for every ball that's flying, and I'm just striking back. You know what I mean? Like, just go for it. So yeah. So on Safe Exchange, like, I've been building a lot with blockchains. Like, I'm having a heavy demand for knowledge in blockchain. So like, I've become so immersed in the effects that a blockchain can do for you. This autonomous living database that a node of blockchain supporting, let's call it machines, right? They give you this outstanding power, right? Where you can feed data that has a maximum integrity, and the definition of the integrity is defined of the machines. So if you tell the machine what you want it to do, it'll do that every time without fail with all information that you feed to it. And if that information is not compatible, it's not going to accept it. You see what I mean? So with that, you can come up with your idea and feed it into a piece of code, transmit that information amongst the nodes, and take requests from outsiders, assuming that they fit the structure that the nodes on the blockchain supporting nodes are going to accept it. So I've been so immersed in that stuff been working a lot in this blockchain space, and like, you know, the development and decentralization is just a non-stop thing. So like on Save Exchange, like you know, over the summer that's passed, I've finished up the voting application so that, you know, Omni coins can be used as a process of a cryptographic in with integrity, a vote, a proposal, and then a vote against that proposal. So it's like basic text that you can submit where you define what you're talking about, what you want to present, and you give responses. And then people can take that proposal, download that file, plug it into the voting system, and produce a vote file. And to accompany that, there's a website that'll accept these votes and check their validity and check for doubles or these kinds of things. So yeah, like, you know, we had on like the timeline to build a voting app, so that's done now. And like, yeah, like the amount of information that I've absorbed and the amount of knowledge that I've come to understand by studying all these new systems out there, for example, CryptoNote, for example, Bitcoin itself, some of the proof of delegated, not delegated, but the proof of stake models of Ethereum, the way that Ethereum functions. I studied very much the DAO hack and like how that occurred. And remember, like a couple months ago, we had the, remember, they were working on a DAO, and I had some good questions for them. We had a pretty good discussion. I was pretty silent. I was just mostly listening because, you know, that's how I am. Like, remember when we first met? Like, I'm totally transformed from then. Like the amount of advancement that I've for the past year and a half, in the past 2.5 years working on these Bitcoin space and this cryptocurrency space, like, you know, I've been advancing as an engineer. I've been just doing so much on this stuff. Like every day, like 16 hours a day is all about this, now the blockchain. So like, I really I want our Save Exchange to have a product like in a timely fashion, like I know how I can do, knowing what I know and knowing what I'm doing now means that I can actively produce a blockchain network that we can start to mine and we can start to promote to the world. And it's an authentic blockchain. We can define the terms, any terms that we want to do ourselves. So remember, like, we always wanted to have some anonymous thing for the purpose of security, right? Like you want to choose if you want to tell people who you are, right? You don't like, I don't know the business of your bank account, Tim, right? But I don't know the business of your bank account, right?
I should hope not.
Exactly. So how come when you use a Bitcoin, I know the business of your Bitcoin? You see what I'm saying? That's the reason for anonymity, right? So our network should be anonymous, right, in the first place. And you should have the right to disclose whether that's your account or not, right? Just like in a bank. Like you can tell authorities that that's your account, or you can choose to opt out of it. If they demand it, it's up to you to comply, right? And you should comply if it's appropriate. So, but you shouldn't have to comply if it's some hackers, right? So then in the second place, you want developers to be able to join in and promote the productivity of that network, right? So you have to reward developers for producing things for that network. So that network should spit out coins to those developers on transaction fees. It's pretty straightforward. Like if you make an app, right, you make the user interface that everybody is using and they're generating transactions and miners are getting fees, the app that's causing those fees to happen should also generate some fees, right? That also supports the developers and it persists the system. So that being said, so these are characteristics that we've seen. Like we had the time to look at all kinds of implementations, all kinds of ideas in this whole decentralization space. And we can now nitpick these features. And then we also, on top of all that, we can look at distribution of coin, right? Most coins are like pre-mined straight up, right? Most coins, the developers take like 30% or like 10, 20% or whatever. And they have no way to like reliably distribute them. You know what I mean? Like we started to experience that in N99, like to like, so you crowd sold some coins, but the rest of them are for proliferating the network to verified artists. You see what I'm saying? So like that's a strategy that promotes the network. But if like, you know, just like people looking for a return on the whole lot, who's gonna buy? You see what I'm saying? What for? You know, like nobody had to earn that. No one had to really, you know, put some blood and sweat into that. So what the hell? That doesn't make sense. It's like, you know, forget it. So distribution has to be understood as well. So like we take all these elements, and what I'm proposing, like I'm urging sensibly that like safe exchange investors, like people still holding the coin. Like I want to propose that we build a product. We build a product with these characteristics where distribution is reliable. So safe exchange investors should be rewarded for having held the coin, right, in the first place. So we don't pre-mine the whole lot, sensible reward, right? Then we need to design something for the developers to still receive coin from that system. So what I'm suggesting for safe exchange investors is that in the new network that there's a fee for transactions, and the SafeX client is going to generate fees, and those fees go to the owners of safe exchange coin. You see what I'm saying? So now that residual piece that we always thought would be there is going to be there. See what I mean? And then in the third place, we have a protected blockchain network. You see what I'm saying? So like these three components where development is rewarded and incentivized, the distribution is enticing to everybody, not just the first people, but for all people. See what I'm saying? Like in the first, imagine like only 1% is emitted per year. For 100 years, people are going to be incentivized to participate in such a network. See what I'm saying? And in the third place, it's anonymous, which means we can still achieve the integrity that we wanted to have. It's like, you don't know everybody's deal in the world, and you shouldn't. That's their business. That's why there's something called privacy, right? And, you know, if you're doing something wrong and you feel safe, you're going to get exposed. See what I'm saying? Like, there's like stories all the time. It's like criminals, they get arrested, not because the encryption was bad, but because those criminals did things that's not right. You know, like they expose themselves otherwise. But if you're not doing anything wrong, you're never going to have that footprint for some investigator to follow. So you really have nothing to worry about. You're private and you have nothing to worry about. You know, you could live your life knowing that some third person can't interfere with your activities. But if you're doing something wrong, you're going to mess up somewhere else. And that's good for law enforcement, where people feel like they're safe. You know what I'm saying? And like those people messing up in ways not related to the technology. See what I mean? So that's good for society. So like I hope we can meet up again where I can present with you, Tim, I'm saying things verbally because I kind of want to test these out loud. You know what I mean? Like I trust the universe. I know it's going to give me some feedback, and I want to test it out loud, and I just don't want to rush into things. But knowing the things I know, deploying some of these technologies that I've deployed, utilizing blockchains and the experience I've gained over these past 4 months, just totally immersed in these blockchains. Wow, like I'm so glad that I've poured my heart and soul into this tech that's been like there this whole time. You know what I mean? Wow, the amazing things that's going on. Like banks adopting blockchains these days, and I see why. Like I perfectly understand why. And like the the multitude of applications, you know what I mean? And we can still deliver on the exchange that we were talking about, where we can have cryptographic assets, we can transform them atomically, where you can send an anonymous payment and receive that item back, and you have the cryptographic proof. It's like a receipt, cryptographic receipt. And sure, there's a lot of education involved in getting that to the world, you know what I mean? Like, to explain how this works, you know what I mean? But it's a public chain, right? And it's there's early adopters, of course, and they're rewarded appropriately, but not over grandly. Like, let's say it ought to be worthwhile, but it shouldn't be like you get, you know, the whole world for the first 5 people involved, you know what I mean? It should be like, it should be distributed appropriately so everybody can participate. You know, there's no one man is an island, you know what I mean? Like, that's the thing. It's a society. It's not a tennis game, actually. You know, like, tennis gets you the ball over the net, and it's good for personal development and stuff. But society is a team sport. It's a team match. You see what I mean? So, like, yeah.
No, I do see what you mean, and there's so much. Then, you know, I left with so many questions I could ask you. But I think one of the things that we've spoken about privately before, and I think it's one of the things that. But not, I don't know how many people are actually realizing, but it alludes to what you said about personal banking. And I never really sort of thought about it until I remember having conversing with you, was the idea that, okay, the blockchain technology is anonymous, you know, in that sense, yeah, there's no name linked to me, but you can follow, like you said, you can follow a Bitcoin down the line and find out what it is. And I remember you know, very eruditely, you know, it gave me the insight into how the fact of, if a wallet had that so much, say you know, someone, you know, 10, 5, 6, 7 years ago, had collected a wallet that got that. It's not the case of the you know, people know who that person is, but like you said, the person who went to open the wallet that's maybe got, I don't know, 100,000 Bitcoin in it, every authority, every corporation around the world is sitting there putting their resources in, just waiting for that one person's account to be opened. And it's when you sort of think about that, that's why what you're doing, you're approaching this from it's not, let's be real about this. The concept of having true anonymity in a world that with the technology we've got is a very, very, very difficult and, you know, hard process. And what you're trying to tackle is never been done before. So I'm you know, when people come to, you know, and I'm sure you've had the same thing, and you know, we've had the same thing all the time. And any person in creative, people coming to you going, well, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Oh, we're like, do you realize how complicated and what we did? And I think people have forgotten, almost become blasé about what you particularly are trying to. The pieces of the jigsaw you're trying to fit in, and how difficult that is, because I think people become this whole like, oh well, it's all coming. It's like, well, it's still very difficult. It's like you said, you've had to take some time off, and like you just eruditely spoke upon, you've had to go away and learn, and I'm sure even now you probably, you know, your knowledge of it, although it's in depth, you know, I'm sure you would probably say, you know, there's so much more you could learn, and there's so much more to do.
Yeah, I'm applying my skills, so like I'm ready to apply them for specifically this. I'm just how to say, some terms on a safe exchange, and I want to move forward, you know, and I'm respecting every holder of safe exchange and listening for their opinion, you know, and I want to go on their opinion. And I'm not twiddling my thumbs, you know what I'm saying? I'm deploying some things, so I'm ready to deploy for us as well. And it's gonna take the, you know, high integrity requires high integrity. So I want to hear the high integrity opinion because of cryptographic signature of the holders of safe exchange coins. You see, like, I don't want to move forward against their will. You see what I'm saying? I don't want people to be dragged into what they did, what they don't want to do. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
So if people don't want me to start producing what I can, then so be it. And we just carry on with old plans and just hope for the best. And, you know, though, you know, in a hobbyist sense, like, you know, we can idle and you know, I can keep deploying a blockchains in a private way, and that's fine. And it's a profession of its own. It's going to take over the next 30 years of finance. But at the same time, I'm willing to, you know, put my head above the parapet and say, hey, everybody, like, you know, I'm coming back with new intel, and I'm saying, guys, like, there's a world out there that, you know, we can produce, and there's no reason why we shouldn't. And I'm suggesting it. See what I mean? I'm like, I could very well say, like, you know, you know, we might not deliver for 2 years, but I'm not saying that. I'm saying, you know, there's something there that we can still pursue, that can still accomplish our characteristics, and, you know, we can still make a value for this world promptly. You see what I'm saying? So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
But I
What
think
I fire up the computer, and I can demonstrate like voting. What do you
that'd
think?
be that'd be fantastic, Daniel. I think what you're talking about then, and again, I think this is a very something needs to be spoken upon, and it's something that people, you know, I can speak as an artist, you know, when I paint. I'm very much like you. When you get into a concept, you go, okay, I don't want to shove stuff down people's throats that they don't like. But equally, it's that balance between doing of like, okay, I mean, let's play devil's advocate with you, Daniel. What happens if everybody in the crowd said to you, nah, let's all hang around for 5 years, and you know, I mean, would you really be happy with that? I mean, how much of that would it be like? Okay, I understand where you're going, but surely knowing you as you do, and I'm playing devil's advocate in this, and I'm throwing this into the ball court. I mean, surely wouldn't you just be frustrated and think, no, I want to push forward, because that's what's very inspiring about someone like you. You're very much pushing forward, pushing forward, pushing forward, and I think that's intrinsically about who you are as a person, because you could be sitting and just, you know, scratching your ass and watching X Factor like everybody else in your age bracket, but you're not. You're out there building and balling a gut, and I that's what I'm trying to say. So even if the crowd did tell you to do one thing, would it really hold you back from doing what you want to do? I mean,
So like, you know, that's a good point, because I did for a time, you know, a couple people, you know, wrote me emails and saying like, yeah, like, you know, you gotta keep on the other stuff, you know, and you know, like, keep to the original proposal. And I'm like, you know, I see the features, and I'm just like, wow, I see another way. And like, I can't ignore that. Like, I can't see someone homeless and just ignore them. You know, I have to give them, I have to, you know, like, I have to put them a meal on their plate. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have
mhm,
to. I have to, like, I can't see that. You know, like, I don't want to see that. I don't wish that for anybody. So like, it's the same when I'm looking here. I read through the original white paper, and I'm just like, there's characteristics here that I know what to do for them, and I can put them. And I'm not gonna leave people who believed in me, and not just me, but in this idea. The idea is more than just me. It's I'm just the like I'm just the cup for the water. You know what I'm saying? Like, the water is actually everybody else, and I'm just facilitating that. You know what I'm saying?
mhm,
So, like, I can't just ignore that. So, and I respect everybody. I'm so grateful to everybody who's supported this project, and like, and who supported like everything that, you know, we've been standing for, this privacy, and this, not just privacy, but it's like your freedoms. You know what I mean? Like, the power to take control of
mhm,
your digital life. You know, and so, like, I can't just ignore this. I can't say, I can't know some solution and say, and say no. You know, I can't just hold that back. And I I want to deploy it with everybody who I started this with. You see what I'm saying? Like,
mhm.
I don't want to just, you know, launch something parallel and just, you know, why would I do that? I want to do this with who I started with. So if people agree to that, I'm taking this route. This is the way, you know, I'm eager to pursue it. You see what I mean? Like, just want that green light from It's literally who I started this with. You see what I'm saying? Like this whole journey started with like SafeX. You remember Project StarCraft. You know what I'm saying? Like this idea, like atomically swapping anonymous information. You see what I mean? And like that's it.
No, and again, Daniel, you're speaking to something. Again, it's all part of this creative process. I mean, it's again. I mean, again, I may be faced with a blank canvas, and I know the vision, and I know the scene I want to paint on it. But then, on the other hand, things will change, and it's kind of okay. But the ultimate thing is, it's to drive what you're doing. The painting you're trying to do, put across into a canvas, as you're trying to do with Safe Exchange. That's the moment we're going for. And truly, Daniel, and I'll be real about you. This, if there are people that don't, will, kind of like if I was painting, using the analogy of me painting a painting, and someone comes to you and says, "Well, no, I'm just not going to go with it." And you think, okay, you wish them all the well and say that's great, but you're still going towards achieving the thing. And people like myself, I mean, I've always been greatly supportive of you because I think. Great. I think you're not abandoning your principles, and it's like when you're an audience member and you bought maybe a band as an album and you've been really with them and you're like, oh, I really love what you're doing, and then they suddenly release an album that's just like, and you're like, whoa, you sold out all the principles all we stood for. And that's how I think really most people would look at someone like you for. And I think that's why I think you're right about, in some ways go on.
In my perspective, I'd say the opposite. Like I'm still right here. I want to deploy something.
Yes.
And it's to the principles, the original principles. It's like,
yes,
I'm just willing to go forward. You know what I
yes.
mean? Like I'm willing to show that, like I discover something and I want to present it. I want to do it.
That's what I'm saying. And that's the point I'm trying to make, Daniel, is that the people who invested you in the beginning of Safe Exchange, they will always be behind you because exactly that's what they bought into. I mean, basically, the principles have never changed, and that's what I'm trying to make. The more concerning would be if you suddenly went, do you know what? This whole decentralization is a bad idea. What we should all do is jump on fear and all go into the European Union and be like, oh, whoa. But that's what I'm trying to say. You're sticking.
I see your point. But we already agreed decentralization is the way. And, I ignored the blockchain for too long. And then I immersed myself 24/7 in the blockchain, what it can do for people, like programmatically, and what can I do to it to help us, and I see the path. And like in the past, I didn't have such experience like I do now. For example, like, it's been 2.5 years since I started on this journey in decentralization, open source development. So like, it's been enough time that I have to admit, like, starting April, it's hard to bullshit me on the software side of things. Like, I am a producer of software these days, like very hardcore, building the system, not just the top layer of the system, the underlying part of the system. You see what I mean? Like, I'm no longer the guy who's just gonna sit back and wait for the API and like, plug into something else. You see what I'm saying? I'm in a position to produce that thing that people plug into. So why wouldn't I flex that?
Exactly.
Yeah. How do I make the screen the default screen? Like, I want to share my screen, but I can't talk on this on my desktop. So, like, how do I make that the default? Do you know?
That's going. That other screen is now going live.
It'll be live now.
That screen there. The third screen now is what the people will be seeing if they're watching.
Right now.
Yeah.
So right now, people can only see the voting stuff.
Let's see this there. Yeah, the Safe Exchange community voting. That's what people are seeing.
Okay. For sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So even when we talk, it shows the screen.
Yep.
Okay. So you see the command line now, right?
Yep. Purple screen.
Okay. All right, so just like a rundown, a lowdown of like what is this voting app? So the voting app is like a multidisciplinary. Like I had hired a couple guys who were, they were not expensive, but I tried to trust them. They had experience and they produced some nice product. But when I cracked open the codes, finally, I realized there's a lot of example code, which indicated to me that they didn't have the experience that, like then they claimed. So I kind of like on the spot just understood how it's working and I ran with it. So I started to produce the software myself, the UI part of things. So I ended up building a RESTful API. I ended up building three front ends, three independent applications written in AngularJS and TypeScript. So it's two of them are Electron, which is the standalone application where you can just you can start it up and it launches on any platform, OS X, Windows, and Linux, which is awesome. And it's HTML based, which makes it fun to make it look good. And I connect it with a Rust powered RESTful API. And all the heavy lifting, all the crypto stuff is taking place using Rust. So it was a lot of fun to build. It's kind of it's like among the first in the world kind of thing, of making this kind of application. So let's dive in. Okay. So I want to bring this. This is like an initial thing. I want to this is the first time I'm showing somebody in reality, like what are we doing? Like what is this app? And when we launch it for the Save Exchange coin holders to use, they will, we should package it up so that it's easier to use than you have to type in the command line. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So it's kind of complicated because it's a real app. It's a real system. So let's go into it. Sorry. All right. So here we are. So what I need to do is first start the server. So when we deploy this, actually, for people to use, you're not going to need to do these things. So we built something called a proposal service. So this runs, sorry, I have to do run bin. It's been a long day. That's an inside joke. So let's let it compile. And okay. So first time I'm running it on this system. Let me. This is like code red of running your demo.
Exactly.
Wow, I really should have tested this before I did that.
No, this is all part of the. I always say this. This is all part of the moment, which is exactly proof that none of this is rehearsed, and we're all living in a moment.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So we just can't find El Crypto. So this is just a issue related to Ubuntu 16.
So in essence here, from a layman's perspective, Daniel, we're looking at the voting block here. So it's the ability for someone to put up and, well, you know what I mean? So this, like you say, is the very coding end of it. But from a layman's perspective, this is what the two screens we're looking at. We've got the voting one on the left, and on the right we've got, what's on the right? It's the chunk assets. So
yeah, so those two, one makes proposals, and the other one makes the votes. I didn't install some dependencies, so like just technical kind of glitch. All right, here we go. We're back. Okay, they just, temporary glitch. You see what I'm saying?
life is people.
Life is people. Okay. Anyway, so now we're running the service. Let me just do that again. Let's jinx it real quick, right? Oh, it's still running. Cool. Okay. So first thing, let's do an example of a proposal, right? So we're gonna run start on the proposal app, right? So pretty straightforward, right? So here we have the server running, and this app, proposal application, is gonna talk to the proposal service. So that's a Rust application. This proposal application is gonna talk there. So I'm gonna type in my private key, and I'm gonna type that in off of the screen, so nobody can steal my 3 safe exchange coins. Let me get the private key for that right now. Let me find the page where that is. Remember, always write your private key down, right?
Yes.
Here it is. All right, so I'm gonna take the window off the screen and type private key, and then import it, and then I'll erase it, and then we're all good. So 5J.
Mute your mic.
Life is people,
Exactly. The man who's building an anonymous system gives away his public key wallet on Live with People.
Hey, if someone's watching and listening, and they need some coin, they can start brute forcing. They could rewind that and start attacking that key. All right. So I just imported the key. I just erased the private key. Now I'm going to drag that back in. So it's gonna the private key can get you your public key without any kind of internet.
Yep.
This application right here actually does connect to the internet to collect the blockchain information.
All right.
So that we can know existing controllers of safe exchange coin at this very moment. So it's gonna plug into the blockchain, collect the information, and then package it up, part of the file. It's the only moment that touches the internet. So it's predominantly offline. There's nothing that's talking to the internet. You can check the code. It's not very complicated, and you can see that there's only one request to the internet for the blockchain to tell you who's the owners of Safe Exchange Coin, because that's all public information.
Yeah.
Okay, so we enter the title for the proposal. So, what's a good title, Tim? What do you think? about save exchange deployment proposal.
Yep. Perfect.
Right. Enter the terms. So something like, let's say, proposal to deploy a network software that utilizes blockchains and delivers fees to developers, some portion that has a distribution that is sensible, and that incentivizes all participants for at least a century, and maintains the integrity of the participants through anonymity by choice. Okay, so then we can say sounds good as a choice. We don't think so as another choice.
Mm-hmm.
And no opinion. Do what you want. All right. So what we're going to do now is hit the create proposal button, and you see it's hitting the server, right?
Yep.
See these two things? So the Rust generated that proposal. It did the crypto process, pulled down the information that we need. So then we're going to do save proposal to desktop, and then it's going to give us this little button that's going to let us select where we're going to save the proposal. You see, it says proposal.poll.
Mm-hmm.
See what I'm saying? Okay. So you want to keep the .poll because that's how the app knows that this is a proposal file.
Yep.
So I'm going to say save exchange. I'm going to give it a name. Save exchange deployment proposal. I'm going to save it to my home folder. Okay. So now when I click here, you see I got my proposal right here, and I can double click that, and it's going to pull up this really interesting file that's holding, all the information relevant to making a proposal. All right. So actually, we're done here. I can close this. All right. So what do I want to do next? I want to submit that proposal to the voting website, right?
Mm-hmm.
So right now, the website is running another service that is dealing with these proposals. It's actually the website is powered by a Rust application. It's very amazing, in my opinion, because it's fault tolerant. It's quick. It can do some powerful logic. Like you can do various things Rust based.
Mm-hmm.
And the fault tolerance means like if I upload some nonsense here, the Rust is going to say, well, that wasn't what I was looking for. Forget it. And there's no way you could really game that. You see what I'm saying?
Perfect.
Okay. So let's go home. Say exchange proposal. Success. You see it said result, success decoding and writing proposal to folder. Okay. You see that? So now I'm going to go to proposals, and we've got save exchange deployment proposal right here. So then what I can do is I can view the proposal, and it's gonna jog up the proposal itself and show us. You see what I'm saying? Like everything that we wanted, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then there's a link here called download proposal file, right?
Yep.
So I can download that, save it, and then now for the next part, right? Now we need to vote on it. So I can now strike up the vote UI over here. Now this vote UI, this is the voting module. This is what you can use to make a vote. This is perfectly offline. You see, so the proposal part of things, you got to connect to the blockchain to download the information related to the blockchain. The cryptographic assets. You see what I mean? Like the save exchange coins specifically.
Yep.
So here you do the same thing. You got to import your private key, right? And I'm going to do that offline, just like before.
Yep.
So 5JR, oh, whoops.
Brilliant.
All right, so I just imported my key. I'm going to erase my private key and bring that file back. Same thing as before, my public key is showing, right? Just like before. So now, to make this work, you need the proposal file, right? So you download the proposal file from the website, from that site that's hosting all the proposal files. So I downloaded it into my downloads, right? Downloads. So I just downloaded it, right? I mean, I loaded it. You see, so it loads up all the information from that, that wild-looking file. Remember?
Yep.
Remember I showed that wild-looking file. So see, it loaded it. Title, say you change deployment proposal, as we had it before. It's all cryptographically verified. Like if you make some modification, you can't install it anymore. It's not going to generate what you're looking for. You know what I'm saying? If you upload it to the website, it's going to do the same thing. It's going to say, this is wrong. Like this wasn't right. There's no cryptographic integrity here.
Perfect.
It's built not to be gamed, right? Okay, so now I could pick a choice. So I'm going to say, sounds good, right? I'm going to, number one, generate the vote, then save the vote, and then a link pops up so that I can save the vote file. Okay, yeah, I had to click. Okay, so I'm going to save it to my home folder again. So here's my vote. I'm going to save that. Okay, so now what do I do next? So I can close that. I'm done with it. So now I can vote on this proposal. So now it's loading the voting submission page. And it tells you what you're voting on again. And I can browse on the website, double click my vote, success, decoding your vote to your folder. So now it should know that I voted with my 3 Savior Exchange coins on that proposal. So we can go back and view the proposal. Yeah. So vote is in the server.
Perfect. Perfectimos.
Yeah. So that's the rundown of what are we doing. You know what I mean?
And just okay, I've got a multitude of questions I could ask you. Is there a
Sure.
on this? Could you propose a time limit on a vote proposal and say, okay, this is going to be up for a week, 10 days, a period of time, and then it can be burnt, or is this like you said, indelible forever and ever and ever as it's
Right. So in truth, yeah, you can you can do that. It's not built in at the moment. So like, I leave it to perpetuity because, like why would I at this time I want people to just be able to vote indefinitely, I see the point where you want to have a cutoff date, you know what I mean? But yeah, for sure. But there's like a moment when people agree that they want to pursue that. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So just something I wanted to look at was review the proposal. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, and again, I mean, again, Daniel, speak upon this one.
Yeah,
Again,
so I just
go on.
wanted to comment, like the vote didn't, the three points, they didn't come up on the screen, but they did come in. Just I gotta check out one thing. Maybe I didn't upload the latest version that I produced, where the vote count is shown on the screen. So like it did receive that information, but it didn't pull it up on the screen. So I'm gonna fix that. You see, like right here, I have it highlighted. So it received the response of the votes, and you see it tells us the participating addresses. You see
Mm-hmm.
that? And
Mm-hmm.
it shows that we have a vote count of 3. Like I said, that account had 3, but it didn't show up on the screen. So, I mean, clearly it got there, but I gotta see just briefly like what the hell just happened, And it's like this is like a soft launch. You see what I'm saying? So like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay with it, and I'm glad that everything's going there, but it didn't pop up on the screen, and I want to adjust that. So here it is. Like it worked, but it didn't work. You get what I'm saying? Like
Yep.
anyway, anyway, cool. I'm glad we had this moment. Like I didn't install the dependencies, new machine, whatever. So yeah. Anyway,
So
cool.
now,
So
in essence, Daniel, just before we do go any further, and I know this
yeah,
is a very technical position, but is that obviously that proposal we've done in this moment, that someone like myself has got some sec coin, I can actually go on and add to proposal, couldn't I? I mean, it's a bit complicated and a bit clumsy at the moment for someone who doesn't know code, but in essence,
yeah.
it's done now, isn't it? So, I mean,
But actually, yeah. Just what I just showed is on GitHub. So like, so the reality is like what you just said is that's the truth. Yeah. If you were savvy enough to, I didn't put any README there. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't put the READMEs up there, but let's go. I mean, it's not a small app. It's like it covers a lot. I mean, there's Electron apps. This was all new to me. Like, I can build the whole stack. You know what I mean? Like,
mm-hmm.
I'm proud of myself. Forget it. Um, but yeah, if you're savvy enough, you can build this out. I didn't put any README just yet, and it's time. I feel confident to say, hey everybody, Save Exchange is still on. Save Exchange is on. We're not holding back, and that's what I'm trying to tell everybody. And if you're with me, you'll vote for us moving forward and producing something within, like by the year elapsed since we started this. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So like, yeah, I'm looking forward to sometime in the spring that we're promoting something that changes the world.
Oh, fantastic, Daniel.
And I want to, I can't stress this enough, where I'm saying I want that launched before we start talking and running our mouths. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to. I want people to just hype up, and I'm not about hype. I'm not about the hype. I just want to build, deploy it, improve lives, and then you can hype all you want. You get what I'm saying?
Exactly, man. And I think that's a very sensible strategy to go with, because as you know, I mean, you spoke upon it earlier on. There seems to be this rush in this world right now that this rush to modernity means about chucking concepts away, and it's a sign to me of great wisdom that you're taking the steps you are in what you're doing, because it's what I'm saying. It's all about building it. Now, one of the questions I have to sort of, God, I guess I say there's so many questions I want to talk to you about, but what would be your thought process now, if someone maybe listens to this, or just generally, if they wanted to go out and buy some SEC coin now, what would be your advice to them? Would it be like, hang on, wait till the new, wait till next spring, buy some and use? I mean, what are your thought processes on, people who may be interested in, because it's still a live currency. It's still, your SEC is still being floated. You still got the ability to. So from your perspective, what would you recommend to people who say, oh, well, I do want to come and buy some SEC coins so I can vote on this proposal?
So yeah, if you wanted to voice your opinion, like that's great. Like you should do what motivates you. We're not. I mean, as the developer, I've already raised funds. You see what I mean? So like, I'm not gonna profit on people buying SEC coins ever. Like I'm not willing to sell the amount that I've bought. You know what I mean? Because I did buy a couple percent, and because like we got some for the developers, I bought more just for the developers so that in the future there's going to be something there for what could become a team, considering the value we can bring to the network, to the earth, the network of humans even. So like I did buy just for the designated address for developers. Like I didn't even take possession of that 1% for myself. Price went up rapidly, and like that's fine. Like some people just enjoy themselves, and that's perfectly okay. Like you started something amazing, and that's true. So then I bought for myself almost 2% because I want a stake in this. You see what I mean? Like I want to be personally staked in this, and I'm not so like I don't really care if the price pumps, and because I don't want to lose that percentage of vote for myself. You see what I mean? Like I want to earn from the live network the fees from the SafeX user interface that people are going to do transactions with.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So like there's still no data, so we can't really make a real price on Safe Exchange Coin. I'm giving like the long damn story. I'm being real. So like if someone hears me and sees the productivity and sees the production and wants this to go forward how I described it, and for sure I'm gonna deploy the typed version of everything that I'm saying, because you gotta hear yourself talk sometimes to so you can cross-check what the hell you're saying in the first place. But if people see that and believe that and they want to be a part of that, then it's yeah, you should go to the exchange and buy Safe Exchange Coin. But again, like we're pretty much set. Like there's nothing more that we're gonna gain until we're launched with something real. So yeah, that's the answer. Like I just hope people who are owning it now understand like where I'm coming from, or if they don't, let them ask. See what I mean?
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Exactly, because you said it very, very eruditely there, my friend. It's at least get involved, because if you don't, that's the point. If there's a person with some SEC coins out right now, go out there and voice your opinion. Because to me,
hell yeah.
To me, Daniel, I was going to say I can't see why anybody who hasn't been involved in, and like I said, we're not even at the early adopting stage. This is we're tentatively breaking through. But I think the people who have backed you, that's the whole point. It's kind of like they understand that it's in the name of what it is. It's the idea to vote and exchange. It's safe exchange. But those people get involved, and like everything else, because as you said, from it's the angle we were speaking about earlier on. When I'm whether you're a creative person making music or you're making art and stuff like that. Okay, there's great times when you want to be like you have been for the last few months. Put your head down, learn, build. But equally, when you do put, like I say, but when you're at that moment where you are now, and you're sticking your head above the parapet quite bravely and saying, okay, I want to hear your opinions. Then we need to tell your opinions, because that's it's valuable for both sides. And I think this is that's why it's really important that you do get involved and get involved in the conversation about it, because it's important to how the thing moves forward.
Yeah.
No, I mean you mentioned. I mean, I was just going to say, Daniel. I mean, I've seen. Again, I'm blown away by your visuals and stuff like that. And again, you seem to be ploughing ahead and quite sort of deep down on this. Now, you mentioned you've got a real sort of fundamental knowledge of that. So, are we at the point, as I understand this, where it's now literally just putting the pieces together, and that's what the period of time is going to be? But you've actually fundamentally got the whole
So just
bones
to
and bit.
give a good perspective is that voting app was not no simple feat. You know,
No, man. Yeah, imagine.
here's the thing. Here's the thing. It's not that it was hard. It was just a challenge.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like I'd done things I never done before there, but like the service, the Rust service, that was a pleasure. You see what I mean? That was my pleasure to build that. But the voting system is something we needed that we defined as something that the people will have. So it's here now. And now what I'm proposing, what I'm suggesting for us is we move forward and take that pleasure and now start to construct an autonomous network that has those features: distribution, the anonymity, the marketplace purpose, and rewards for developers who are building upon that
Hmm.
network. I'm proposing that that's what we move forward with as planned. So the challenge was the front end. I never done that before, and it became a pleasure for me.
Hmm.
So, and it goes through 5,000 lines of code. It's a small book I built in a few months. You see what I'm saying? So, a book is about 20,000 lines. A book, if you,
Hmm.
so it's like 25% of a novel, 300-page novel. So, it's nothing. It's nothing to take lightly. And I am deploying blockchains. I At this moment I already have an experience, a active experience in successful blockchains. So I'm not I'm not looking for doing something that is beyond what I already do.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's proven already. So that's why I'm speaking with such confidence of, let's do this. Like, guys, I finished the application. Girls, I'm ready to go. See what I mean?
Oh man, that's you, as I said before, is
It's been a
that's
while since we had these conversations,
yeah. I was about to say, and I mean, one of the things. I mean, not only that is that just greatly inspiring to me, and man, my synapses are flying from what the information you showed me tonight, Daniel. But equally, one of the things that since we had a last sort of public conversation, and I'd love to sort of hear about, you know, this is another little, like an armory in your sort of, weapons you have as a person. You started writing for Coin Idol, and that's some of the fascinating idol, the articles you've written in that. So on that whole, that sort of another little weapon you have in your armory, and I've read a fascinating, and it's again people, I tweeted out on my social media and stuff about you wrote this week about you know the bear market versus bull market in comparison to what's coming with Bitcoin in the next few months. And you mentioned Apple, so can you sort of allude sort of like tell us more about what Apple are proposing and why and what you think that will actually mean to the actual price and just the general sort of adoption of Bitcoin.
Yeah, so like Apple used to just block everybody's apps that they're going into the Apple Store. So like if you made some wallet for the iPhone, they would just ban you from the Apple Store. No one can download reliably your application, and there's no one verifying those applications. So recently, some startup called Circle.com, it's a pretty popular Bitcoin wallet and Bitcoin exchange. They got approval and they built in payment system directly into iMessage. So you can be like talking to someone who you know and send them Bitcoins or receive Bitcoins. So you can like negotiate deals and chat and get the payment or send the payment. So what that signifies to me is like people are warming up to Bitcoin.
Hmm.
It's becoming, the banks are all over the blockchain. They're all over that thing. It's amazing the things that you can do because of the integrity with which you can do it with. like sending transactions and stuff like that. So yeah, like yeah, I'm writing for Coin Idol. That all started like, we have the Save Exchange community, and like, I'm into markets, so I'm always following what's going on in the cryptocurrency space. I'm not wearing blinders. I'm looking at everything that's happening, and I gotta admit, writing for Coin Idol, all of these individuals who are also leaders in this decentralization world, and I get to have one-on-one conversations with them and get their take on things and understand things from their perspective. And I don't criticize them at all. I just listen and hear them out and report on it, and like it's a lot of fun. So like I kind of haven't been posting my I do like a daily post usually on the Save Exchange forum. I got sick last month for like 2 weeks. Like I was sitting in a room, and not a room, like in a friend of mine, he redid his house, and I was there, and the floor was refinished, and that room had the chemical smell, and it just blasted my brain, and like I got sick, like I didn't notice. I didn't really understand what's gonna happen. I got really sick, and like I got out of it, and it was like the worst time to be out of it. I wanted to launch this proposal app a month ago, and like that knocked me out for 2 weeks, and that also knocked me off my horse for updating things. And actually I was supposed to start writing for the Coin Idol, and like I remember my first article like that I was officially on was like 2 sentences long, and I'm like, here's the article, and the editor is like, what is this? He's saying you wrote like brilliant articles, like did you forget English? And I was just out of it. Then the next morning I'm waking up, I'm feeling a little bit better, and I'm like, have that coherence, and I'm like, oh my god, like what happened? So I just retyped it and like reanalyzed things. I'm like, sorry about that, And then like week later I felt like 10 times better, and then like I felt so much better. I got back in my groove. So like yeah, I plan to consistently update our forum with those screenshots. And those screenshots are so valuable. You're gonna be wondering what happened last year to the coin price on this day, or like in the coin prices, and you're gonna be saying thanks, Dali, because you keep posting those screenshots, and like I can see the patterns that are going on. You see what I mean? So that's the purpose. Like I'll be honest, it's personal. It's for me. You know what I mean? I know I'm looking there and I'm seeing, okay, what's this coin? People following it. What happened like 6 months ago? And I got this screenshot right there of that. Yeah, people are gonna say, yeah, you can look at the chart, but the chart's not gonna give you the picture of what it was like at that time, because the chart shows you the rest of the world. It shows you the rest of the universe that's manifested. So like it's like a newspaper. You know what I mean? Like if you throw away all the newspapers for that day, you lost all the news. So like in this case, you can always scroll through and see like, okay, what happened that day? Like what happened 6 months ago? And you can see the range. You can see, okay, you click there, click there, click there. So it's like, it's invaluable. Like it's totally useful content. Like people are gonna be finding that, I'm sure. So, and they're already finding it. I get some good thank yous. People actually appreciating that I keep posting, because people can go there and see. They don't have to go to the exchange and actively click. They can first assess things. You could stand back, look at the screenshots, and assess. Okay, do I want to get in there? Like, what's going on? And I see things. I talk to a lot of people, so I can provide insights that you won't get just looking at the screen. You got to talk to the developers who are making these things. You got to talk to the participants of these things, and not everybody has that time. Not everybody has that outlet to make that conversation happen, where you're wondering, okay, like for example, Monero, they don't have a graphical user interface. Why not? So I got a chance to talk with the lead developer of Monero, and he's explaining me the dev process, and it's like, well, that's because like it's open source, and that's not what I'm working on. It's what some group of guys passively working on it. So eventually they're going to get done, and that's why we don't have a graphical user interface, and life goes on. So like, I get the chance to actually know for certain, like, okay, why not? And here's why. So stuff like that.
Daniel, even by what you just said, then you're serving an invaluable process, because is the essence of it. This is what life is people is about, man. We're all different shades, and it makes me so internally glad that there is someone like you doing this, because that's what I'm saying. Because I can personally speak upon this, and I've learned so much about this stuff that if it hadn't been someone like you who had that very idea of almost like scrapbooking it and putting it out, I wouldn't be interested in it. I wouldn't have gained the knowledge I did. And this is what I think it's great that there's people like you doing this, because I'm glad that you are, because it's one of the things that has always fascinated me, that, like you said when you spoke upon it quite eruditely then, that in this rush towards this great new future that we build, we forget to take the snapshots along the way, and then you look back and go, what? And then you're into a really complicated process. So I think it's really great what you're doing, two sides. Now, I want to sort of speak upon, and you did mention it, and I kind of wanted to sort of tease some more out of you. What in your thought process, from someone who's been the knowledge you've got of trading and cryptocurrency, what's been, it's a two-sided question, what has been the reticence of someone like Apple not to sort of jump on board? So they're seen in the outside perspective as a quite an innovative company, and that's a branding they give out. So do you think has stopped them from being the reticence of jumping on Bitcoin? And equally, what do they get to gain from jumping on it? Because isn't the point of this, from a perspective?
I think it's demand by the customers. They're like, I got an iPhone. Like, imagine you're a middle class person, have like 50,000 in savings, for example. Just take for example, you might invest in stocks, and you might put a few thousand in some cryptocurrency because that's what you decided to do. And you're using an iPhone, and where's the App Store telling you which wallet to use? You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and Apple doesn't know anything about this Bitcoin yet, and then they find out about it. They do the research. They say, okay, we keep having requests. Where's the Bitcoin wallet? Where's the Bitcoin wallet? Where's the Bitcoin wallet? And people trust the App Store of the iPhone, and that's where they want to go get the app. And they're saying, Apple, where's the iPhone wallet? And Apple's saying, well, we don't know. So now they're like, well, we have no choice. We have to give it. That's the thing. The people make the decision. The people decided. See what I mean?
So from that perspective then, so from Apple, the corporation, they obviously, as a corporation, will always look at the bottom line and how they can benefit and profit from that. How will they, as a corporation, how are they going to benefit? And they look at this and go, what cut can they make on the transaction of Bitcoin?
Their cut is the continuation of customers using iPhones.
Oh wow,
yeah.
Wow, that really is quite disruptive then. So that really is, that's powerful.
That's a good perspective. That's a very, very good perspective, Tim. It really is. Yeah, that's right. For them to continue to sell iPhones, they must include the Bitcoin wallet.
Wow. And you think about it, this relates to what you're saying. The Bitcoin technology and the whole of the blockchain technology, we're talking what? 7, 8 years, 9 years. This is immense what's going on at the rate we're doing, that now we can demand that Apple bend to our will.
I'm telling you, this is a norm. This blockchain stuff is a norm. I'm going to be doing this for the next 30 years of my life.
Yeah. And I think you probably can be, testify to it more of how much reach. I mean, you think we go back a year and a bit since, or longer since we had our very first conversation, and how much the reach of all this has happened. I mean, how much I've seen it, and I'm not as down the rabbit hole as you are, and I'm pretty down the rabbit hole, but not as much as you are. And I've just seen. I mean, I was reading just in the last 2 weeks how parts of the EU, even governments have started looking at blockchain, and this is a really good way of using it for benefit payments and welfare payments, and
Yeah.
it's immense. I mean, it's 2 years ago you would have never even considered they'd even having this conversation. So I'm sure that you must sort of feel. I mean, the reach of it from being where you are to you. If I spoke to the Daniel who was in San Francisco and 2 years ago and sitting there and kind of looking at the whole proposal of decentralization to now, do you think this has progressed faster than you think it would be, or is this on point where you thought this would be in the general penetration in the outside world?
I have to admit that there's still so few people on the earth who can handle a blockchain.
Mm-hmm.
Most people, they're still producing, most engineers, they're not leaving their comfort zone to understand and to produce on a blockchain. I can safely admit that I am one of few thousand people on the earth right now who can deploy blockchain on demand. And for mostly any purpose so far, for data integrity. That being said, I'm not sure it's progressing too fast. People need to understand how they're going to use it before they deploy it, right? They think 10 times, act once.
Mm.
You see what I mean? So in that regard, I think things are on time. You want to see things proven to work before you start spending time on it. You never want to, but you shouldn't just dive in head first, You should send someone to dive in head first, watch from afar, and determine what that's going to do for you. I think it's like a Winston Churchill. He said like something like, have someone do something first, fail and learn from their mistakes, and then do it right. Something like that. You know what I mean? Or something. Or it was like Otto von Bismarck or something like that. I don't know, but it's some interesting saying that's wise in my opinion. It's like that people generally are doing it. Like some people, they're fervent, and they just diving in. They go, I got nothing to lose. I'm gonna do it. And then everybody else gets to watch that person just go all in, And the wise people gonna see that and nitpick what's good,
Yeah.
And the people who survive going all in, the people who still survive, if they're wise, they're gonna adjust and and fix the flaws and carry on and thrive. They evolve. See what I mean? And I have a lot of respect for people going all in. And I think it's very essential to evolution that people are out there proving things. And I hope wise people, such as people working in banks and people working in government, they realize that blockchains are not their enemy, that blockchains are what will prove the honest people are. They'll prove the honest people better. And if people are dishonest, they should run. They should run from those positions that, I don't want to say put them in danger, but exposes lack of integrity. You see my point?
Yeah.
The blockchain is absolute. What goes into a blockchain is for sure, and you could assess it inside there and know that if you don't. So, like for example, the Ethereum blockchain, they modified it, right? But you learned something from there. You learned something from that they can modify what was unintended, right? I don't know if I agree or disagree. I'm just saying what happened. I'm just the bystander. I'm just saying what happened. But they saw something that they thought shouldn't happen, and they asked as many people as they felt they need to, They presented a new version of software and people adopted it.
Mm-hmm.
And likewise, in a government, let's say a government, I don't know, accidentally funds terrorists. The Ethereum process would take place. Say, oops, we just gave the terrorists 10 million bucks to go and fund their nonsense. That wasn't, that, you know, we can see it in the blockchain, but that's not what we intended for.
Mm-hmm.
And there are steps we can present to our Earth. Let's take that back. Let's take that back. And people can do that. Now imagine like a president of the United States or something did the wrong thing and really they spent to the wrong people. Now the people can vote collectively and say, hey, that was uncalled for. That's the wrong expense. They can take that expense power back. They can halt that expense power. Let's say it was already spent. You shouldn't stop people from eating, but you should stop activity. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
you should, governments have to because they print money, you know, and they print money and they distribute money. Now, what if the blockchain is printing the money and distributing the money? See what I mean?
Yep.
And the integrity of that, that's phenomenal. And there are amazing systems that are coming that do just that. And yeah, this is like the harbinger for this. I see things and I know things. So yeah, there's something special about Safe Exchange and its characteristics that I think is important for society and for the earth. And I hope Safe Exchange coin holders, they back me on this one. You know, like I'm saying with their opinion, you know, that they really back this proposal. So like I'm looking forward to coding that next. That you know, I finished the voting app, couple you know optimizations to the front end to show that voting tally, and I'm sure I just didn't deploy the version that is displaying the vote, but you saw the information for the vote is coming through, so everything is perfectly okay. You know, the system is working perfectly. It's just the visualization didn't display that vote. No worries on my end. So,
Well, perfect, Daniel. I'll tell you what, we've you know we've done the a 2 hour conversation here,
wow, that's been 2 hours.
yeah, man. And what I really wanted, what I kind of thing we spoke about beforehand, and I kind of like I always say, leave them wanting more. And I'm now excited to sort of, you know, maybe you coming back in, you know, and showing, you know, step by step about how this just starts to unfold.
Yeah.
So, and again, and I think it was just like anything. I mean, again, we're kind of on the theme of tonight's conversation. At times when you're creating and you know, wherever it is, you have that moment of you just think, wow, just let them have the flow. And then when they're done. And that was that very last 5 minutes, man. It was a very zen 5 minutes, man. I think it was, and I kind of feel like anything we may say from now was just going to be adding glitter to a painting that doesn't need to be added to. So, man. So as always, Daniel, it's well, not only does time fly in our conversations, I'm always left with more questions than answers, and again, I look forward to having you on. Thank you for giving me your time, man, because I know how precious your time is, and it's been an absolute pleasure tonight. And well, for me over here in Scotland, I want to say life is people, and like again, thank you very much, Dave, for giving me your time, man.